Welcome to Mink Life Motivation Live. My name is Monica Henderson, and I am here to help you get your life. That's what's happening today. So we are having all kinds of technical difficulties today, but that never stops this show, as we are always here to really help you get motivated, stay inspired, keep networking, and gain knowledge. Now, to help me craft our conversations today, I have an amazing batch of co-hosts with me today. And those co-hosts are right there on the bottom, but let me give them their formal introductions, if you will. So we have this week's topic, of course, is going to be our expanding your wealth. And to help me talk about that today is Andrea Gewirtz. She is the Wellness Thrive Strategist of Wellbeing and Worth, a Mink Life Motivation Master Trainer, and of Mink Life University. Andrea, what's up, girl?
Hey there, Mama. We're pushing through this morning.
We're going to make it happen today, right? Okay, and then also to help us craft this conversation about wealth today, we have our regular co-host, Peggy McCartha, who is the owner and photographer of Headshots by Peggy. She is also a headshot strategist and a Mink Life Motivation Trainer of the Brand Builder. Hey, Peggy.
Yay, glad to be here.
And we also have live in full effect, we got the CEO of Val Lowe Group, a business coach, dynamic speaker, and a Civil Air Search and Rescue Team's member. Val Lowe is in the house as our guest co-host.
Good.
Hello.
Yeah, nice to be here. Yes.
Yay. And last but not least, the fourth co-host off the couch, or the fifth co-host off the couch, is you. You are, as a part of our community, and people who are watching this show right now are a part of this conversation. So chime in with the hashtag live, or just with your thoughts, your wishes, your dreams, whatever's happening with you, and join in on the conversation, shall we? So shall we dive into today's topics?
Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So the first question that we have really is, Val, tell us about the search and rescue team.
I didn't know that either. Talk. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Well, I'm part of an organization called Canadian Civil Air Search and Rescue. And we go out sometimes in little aircraft as a team, looking for aircraft that have gone missing. And sometimes we go out with the military. We work really close with the military. Sometimes we go out with them. Last time I was out was on a search here in my local area for two hikers that went missing. And I got to go out with the 442 Squadron on their Commandant helicopters. So it's pretty exciting to be involved in something that's just so worthwhile. And it's pretty interesting. We live in the mountains, and it's spectacular when you fly as well. So you have to really pay attention to what you're doing, being on task.
Absolutely. Yes.
How do you get started with that? I'm like, Val, I know you're a woman of many talents, but
yeah, it's a fun story. I have a friend who at the time was flying. He was a member of Air Search and Rescue. And he kept coming up to me with his wife. He'd come up and say, Val, how much do you weigh? I go, where are we going with this? And you're always looking for someone that he thought would be a good team member that didn't weigh a lot, because, your weight makes a big difference on little aircraft. And he finally convinced me, and there we go. That's how I got started. But it's a great group to be in. And
that is so cool.
That is amazing. So guys, we have a special treat. We have another co-host who's popped in today. So I'm going to actually invite her onto stage with us. It's Ruby Wesley, and she is a strategist as well. Hey, Ruby.
Hey, Ruby.
Hello, everyone. How are you ladies doing?
Walking right in. Nice to meet you.
Yes, so Ruby, just tell us really quickly give us one fun fact about Ruby.
Fun fact about Ruby. Personal fun fact, I like to always lead with a joke. I'm African American because my parents are African and I was born in the United States. Corny joke.
I love it. Absolutely. Funny is I say all the time that I'm Black American instead of African. Like, why do you say that? And it's like, well, because there are people who are African live here who are African American, and my heritage is from here. So I love that you lead in with that. It makes my heart smile, and that's awesome. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, we all have
Quite an
tech
intro.
interesting things today. So Ruby just slid in under the wire when we first started, but we're going to tap into our first question of the day, which is going to help us get motivated. If I can ever do the tech right, guys, it's going to happen one of these days. I'm going to be like on it, and all the things are going to work the way
You're
that they're
always
supposed to.
on it. Like I told you before backstage, it is thank you for the technology. And we are grateful for the technology. So the technology needs to hear us in tuning that we are communing with it. And so
Yes.
I
So
don't even know where Ruby's calling in from, but it's connecting me to a new friend. So I'm grateful. So let us all
yeah,
give thanks to the
absolutely.
technology.
I'm
Absolutely.
calling in from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Okay. We have Canada, we have a bunch of girls, and we got North Carolina line today. So you were able to join us in this conversation today, Ruby, as the conversation is really about wealth. And the question that we're going to dive into is, why is redefining so important? Why is redefining wealth so important? And so that we, our guest co-host can kind of lean in on, take a second to absorb that. Andrea, did you want to go today and
I did,
really talk
because I am the health person and I wanted to go first so I can get it out of the way and they can all talk about wealth. That's exactly why I wanted to go first. So I was like, I want to go first. So thank you. See, I've been tuning things all day. I got to go first. So why is redefining wealth so important? In my business, Wellbeing and Worth, we always talk about your health is your wealth. And so your health is one of the many ways that you can show up wealthy in the world. And that's by choice, however, because we're not necessarily taught to be healthy. By the way, it's funny, we have mixed messaging. We get a lot of mixed messaging, so we're often confused. So we don't know how to necessarily show up healthy and therefore be able to attain physical wealth. So in the definition of what wealth is, we as individuals need to be really clear about the what, so we can practice the how. So I like to say that I am wealthy because I have my health, and it allows me then to pursue economic wealth,
Mm.
and emotional wealth, because I have this very strong foundation called my health. And so my wealth definition, I'm here surrounded by a wealth advocate and Val Lowe with the business. So they're going to get all juicy about that. So I get to be all juicy about the health component and really making that a wealth aspiration too. So I am glad to go first because I believe I'm the prime, so you can do all the other fun parts. And I let you girls now talk about the business side. I mean, I have the business side too, but I want to get the health part in because I think it's your foundation. So then we can then exercise, no pun intended, the execution of really pursuing maybe physical wealth and, of course, then emotional wealth. So thank you. Let me go first.
Oh, yeah. No problem, Andrea. Thank you for going first. Next, I guess we'll give the opportunity for Val to go next. Val, did you want to share why redefining your health is so important?
Well,
Wealth is so important.
Jinx.
That's okay, because that's where I'm on that mindset too. Yes, Andrea, your health is so important, because when you don't have your health, then everything else just it just diminishes. And so wealth for me comes from mindset. Where are you focusing your thoughts? Where are you looking to? I mean, because if you're thinking about, oh, I'll never make it, then that's what's going to happen in your life. You protract what you think about, what you talk about, what you embody. So when you're thinking about wealth from a business standpoint, then you really need to be focusing your mindset on those things, the what, and then the how falls into place. So it's, oh gosh, I always come back to mindset. What's your strategy? What is it you want to do? And then put your mind on it. Focus on those things that are going to get you there.
Oh, yeah. That's great. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. Peggy, what about you?
Well, I absolutely agree with everything that everyone has said, but I want to look at this at a different, I want to answer the question from a different angle, redefining wealth. I was raised that wealth was evil, like only evil people were wealthy, and, wealthy people were evil, and however you want to say that sentence. And I think that it's important that we redefine that, because I want to walk in wealth in every area of my life, in my health, in my emotions, in my relationships, and definitely in my finances. And we can't fully walk into that when in the back of our mind we see wealthy people as the evil people, or wealth itself as evil, because wealth is not evil. Wealth allows us to live full lives, whether it's emotional wealth, whether it's physical health wealth, whatever it is, finances, it all allows us to live an amazing life. So we need to redefine wealth as something good and something that's beneficial to us and something that we want.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Ruby, as the resident wealth strategist on the on the panel today, why is redefining your wealth so important?
Redefining wealth is extremely important. So, formally, my formal title is financial advisor, and that really is focusing on the financial aspect of wealth. But I also consider myself a wealth empowerment advocate, which is, as you see my title, because it's not just financial, right? We touched on some key points already, the mindset, that physical component. And really, for me, it starts with the mindset, right? What are we depositing? Just like we're cognizant of what we deposit into our bank accounts, what are we depositing into our minds, our spirit, right? That's where our mindset is encompassed, right, in our spirituality and the different things that guides our thought processes. And if we have a healthy spirit, a healthy mindset, then we've got the vehicle to really give us direction on the things that we want to accomplish. And that leads into the physical component, right? Because now our mind is capable of telling us these positive things that we can do. Like we don't take that first step until we convince ourselves mentally that we can do it. We can take those steps, right? And so the physicality comes in because it allows us to execute on those things that our minds are set on, right? And then the third part of that is where the financial piece comes in, because now we have the means to execute on those things that we are physically carrying out. So I look at wealth in those three components: mindset, spirituality, physicality, and then the financial piece.
Aren't y'all glad y'all don't have my position of going after that?
Oh, you know what you get to do, Monica? You go, you know what? I think you covered it all. Let's move to the next question.
I did want to say that, redefining wealth is something that I don't think we're asked to do often. And so that's why I phrased this conversation about wealth today, framed it with that redefining wealth at the beginning of this conversation, because when I was going through my own journey of everything, like Peggy said, there was a lot of negative mindsets about like wealth, and like, oh, I'm not money driven. I don't need money. I don't have to make a lot of money in order to be happy, which technically is still true. But what I had to realize is by saying that I don't need money, I don't actually attract money, right? I don't actually bring money in. However, saying that I value time, I value my time as wealth, right? And so how I spend my time makes me wealthy. Then I give the opportunity to redefine, and reclaim the actual financial wealth that comes from saying my time is valuable, and my time is the resource that I want to have in abundance. And therefore, when I am creating opportunities for myself to figure out what's worth money for me, that I am now reflecting on that concept of how much something costs differently. So it may cost less money, but if it takes me more time to execute, it is not a bargain. It is not cheap. It is expensive. However, if it costs more money, but makes it easier for me, now I'm like, okay, well, it does cost more money and I do have to part with more money, but it is going to make my life easier. I get more of my time back, and therefore it is more of value. So redefining kind of that conversation about, I want a wealth of time. I want to be able to use my time the way I want to use my time. And so now everything has a different value in it, including how much food costs, right? If it's going to take me more time in the gym to work through feeling better about myself, then this cheap meal is not necessarily that inexpensive. It's actually really expensive. And if this person who I have to sit down and have a conversation with is a time suck and an energy, they just are not my people, that conversation isn't free. It cost me my wealth. It cost me my time. And so therefore, redefining wealth for me came about really just understanding that my time is valuable. Every single second, it's the one resource that is not renewable. And so by redefining my wealth as how I get to spend my time, then really kind of allows the conversation about wealth and money and what's cheap and what's not to pivot on its end. And like Ruby was saying, all of those components that we look at to put forth to actually make money do come into play in a very different way in that way. Whew, I think I pulled that off.
Yeah, you did add the time component, which is a really, really important aspect. I love that. It was great.
It's one of the things that we just sometimes don't consider that often. So Ruby's new to the show, and so I'm happy to have you here and happy to be kind of including you in this really interesting conversation about wealth. And so on the show, we kind of go through the different parts of how things are. And one of the things that we go through is really kind of helping people stay inspired. And, you know, staying inspired is so important because as an entrepreneur, we go through ups and downs. You know, life can be hard sometimes. And knowing that everybody in this battle of like kind of making sure that you are gaining the wealth that you're looking for, have ways that they had to go through things themselves is super important. And so one of the things that I wanted to have us all do, really share one way that you have expanded your own definition of wealth through this journey of entrepreneurship for yourself. I'd like to start this time. We're going to go in reverse order, and we'll start with Ruby first, and then we'll kind of work our way around the room. So Ruby, how did you redefine wealth for yourself?
Going back to thinking about that trifecta, right? You know, a lot of my professional world is focused on the financial piece. But just as part of my own revelation, you know, I'm on a journey as well to have that, make sure that I'm always refreshing my mindset, my spirituality with the things that I need to be depositing so that I stay in a healthy mental space. And then supplementing that with the physical aspect, right? Because, you know, if we're aching in our bodies, if we feel sluggish, those things impact, you know, just how we go about accomplishing our various goals. So those things are key to me in that, making sure I'm looking at the full picture of what this means. And so those are two things that I've just really incorporated into my wealth journey.
Oh yeah, that is super pivotal. I guess Peggy, what about you? How did you redefine wealth in your life?
I think that I have really redefined wealth by expressing wealth in relationships. I feel like that is something that I was always really missing in my life, is that wealth of human resources, the loving, caring, um, you know, things that you get from other amazing people. And I think that when I decided that I was going to put that as a priority, surrounding myself with amazing people, then wealth in every area just kind of started happening. I mean, even in my health, if you think about it, surrounding myself with amazing people like Monica, who introduced me to Andrea, who, we've been on this journey to health and all these things together, all rooted in me making a decision that I was going to surround myself with wealthy people. And I think wealthy people are those people that bring out love and positivity and the same values that you hold, that you want to surround yourself with. And I think that that's kind of been how I've redefined wealth and seen wealth show up in all the other areas of my life.
Oh yeah, that's so good. Val, how did you expand your definition of wealth?
Well, this might seem a little bit odd, the direction I'm going here. It starts when you wake up in the morning. And my one son had difficulty in school. Like, he just did not like going to school. So the phrase in our house is, and still is, even though he's on his own now, I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to school. So if we're waking up in the morning with that kind of attitude, how can we redefine our wealth? How can we, look at wealth as something that comes into our lives? So it's in the morning. The first thing when I get out of bed is taking that morning routine and refreshing myself, reminding myself what I'm after, looking at the day ahead, and that I want to be expansive. I want to be growing wealth, as we talked about, health, spiritually, in business, with money. That's the place that I'm going with, is starting your day, setting your day with your intentions, because when you do that, then the rest of the day just starts to fall into place. But when you get out going, oh, I don't want to be here, I don't want to get up, then that's not giving yourself a new definition of wealth. It's not expanding yourself, it's actually decreasing yourself. So that's the funny little bit that I'm going to add today.
Okay.
That was good. That was good. I was this morning saying I didn't want to go to school. So
she's like, I'm that person. I did that.
I had to go, okay, I need to reset that. So that was good.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Is that why I'm big in the big square?
You can go now.
I can go now. No, I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't get like an Aunt Andrea. What do you think? So I was like, let me just wait.
Well, I did, and then Peggy chimed in, and so
Val, I love what you said. I love what Val said, and I was gonna say something about my definition of wealth was a combination of reclaiming time in the form of sleep. I'm going to, Ruby, I love how you say my deposits, the deposits into the different receptacles to create wealth, right? And I was like, of course, a wealth strategist, financial planner would say deposits, but it really vibed with me, because I've been forced, chronic no sleeper, to learn that whole framing of rest so that I could embark on the wealth journey. So it's very personal to me to, especially this past summer, to rest and really fill the reservoirs of the ability to do things. And so it all started with sleep. So I can really appreciate your son. I don't want to get up, but when you really intrinsically, your body and everything is feeling this way, you must address the thing it is craving. I mean, he was probably like plenty asleep, but he just had this mental part. So you had to figure out a way to get him to embrace the journey, right? So I had to, the one way I've expanded my definition of my own health wealth is put in those deposits known as sleep. So I'm a big champion of that. I'm surrounded by people who are good sleepers. So then I had no excuse to not model them. However, it's interesting when your body is in a place where it's like, why do you want to do that? And so that was the journey, was really trying to encourage it to say, actually, Chica, you need to do this. And so, yeah, putting in the deposits, sleep deposits. I'm gonna start using that. I love it. You hear me from ever on and like social media, be like, I gave her that, and I'm gonna say, yep, Ruby did, because I love it.
Oh yeah. So the interesting part is a lot of times we don't like to feel broke, right? Or that there's no money, or that it's stagnant, and like that is a sign of failure. And in my own journey, I have realized that no money, or the lack of having money in the moment, or like the lack of flow of income coming in, I decided to think as the warning sign of paying attention, right? It's the first signs that something's broken somewhere, that pipeline of all the good things that you're putting into place in order for flow to come through your life, that somewhere there's a leak somewhere that needs to be addressed. And so for me, sadly, I've had to have that pipeline break a couple of times in order for me to pay attention in that way. But for me, that is what I've had to understand about wealth and the flow of money and energy, and all of those things. There was something that I didn't pay attention to, or there was something that that got lost in the rotation of the things that I'm doing, that needs my attention, and that I need to make sure doesn't get ignored, so that I don't have a long-term effect of wealth, of lack of wealth. And so for my own understanding, can you guys hear me talking in the background?
Yes.
Sorry. It's my incubator talking in the background.
Oh, no, I don't hear it.
Oh, you didn't hear it? Okay,
In
I
this
heard
12-minute section.
I heard me talking to people, and I was like, uh-oh. But so when it came down to it, for me, I had to really redefine that not having money is not a failure. It's just a signal that I have to pay attention better to something. And once I kind of started to reframe it that way, then not having money wasn't like an anxious thing, like, oh my gosh, I don't have any money. It's like, oh no, there was something that I need to pay attention to. Let me mend that part of the pipeline, and then let me make sure that I have included that as a checklist of things for me to do, as I'm going through checking in on all of the things that I'm doing, that part is also being checked as well. So I've redefined it as now it's just a warning light saying, hey, you need to check in on this. And I think if we can listen to the slowing down of the wealth, or the slowing down of the income, or the lack of clients coming through, or all of the different ways that we're kind of generating wealth in our lives, we can notice that as early as possible, then there won't be that crash of like, everything's come to a complete end and I don't know what happened, right? But more oh, that needs more attention. Let me bring that back up to create that balance in my life. So I'd like to ask Ruby, what are your thoughts on what everyone was saying about expanding their wealth, as you are our resident wealth person?
So you were saying specifically, what are my thoughts regards to just the overall?
Yeah, just the overall of what we're saying as far as how we've expanded on definitions of wealth.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think it's great because, just going back to me talking about those three components, I mean, we have tons of examples just in society that wealth is not just financial, right? We see too often wealthy people, celebrities succumb to whether it's drug overdose, suicide, because there's something else that's missing, whether it's driven by depression or something that caused them to have a decline. So that's why it's important to think about and look at other aspects that impact or are still tied to that component. And then that's just proof that it's just not, financial. There is a mental state, there is a physical state, because you can have, tons of money, and if you're not physically able to even enjoy the fruits of your labor, that will impact your mental state, and vice versa. If your mental state, is just not in a place where you could be physically fit, you could be very wealthy, but you're just unhappy. So I just think it's great that people are, and especially the ladies on the panel here, acknowledge that there are different facets of wealth.
Yes, love that. We are always in flow in this group of people because we birds of a feather flock together for sure. So we want to keep working, and and when working on this show, we talk about it as it's not just about asking, hey, can you do business with me? Do business with me, do business with me. Here's my card, do business with me. But more so looking at how all the ways that these collection of people, like Peggy was saying earlier, can really support your growth overall. And so one of the things that I wanted to ask the group is what would you recommend someone ask when they are choosing a professional in their wealth journey? So what do you think they should ask when they're choosing professionals to help them in their wealth journey? And anybody want to volunteer to go first? Andrea.
I will. So I look at this question, and I'm going to say, when you are choosing someone in your wealth journey, I mean, certainly in this conversation, you have heard many ways to realize wealth. And so, and perhaps, I hope you've gleaned that there are perhaps many people to impart information on that journey. So I think when you are looking for a person to do that wealth journey, make sure they're able to answer the question or provide the thing you're looking for in that moment. I know this seems very obvious, but because we're saying professional and wealth, I think the mind automatically jumps to someone like Ruby, who's a financial planner. I know I read it and I go, oh, can I answer this question even when I talk about a professional wealth journey? And as I was having my little own cognitive dissonance about the question, I realized, no, actually, the thing that I should offer is I looked at it, had that moment, and it's like, wait, I'm really looking for this person to increase my wealth, which in this instance might be knowledge or experience in a particular area. And I really have gotten really clear about this, and I mentor people who I coach with or I train with. It's that, remember, there's always someone who you could either model to emulate what they want, right? So we had this wonderful speaker speak to my business team. His name was Vusi Tembekwayo, and he said something that I swear I quote him all the time now. He was like, he said, people go, who are your mentors? And he's like, I don't really have mentors. I think I've said this before. He says, I have maps and I have mirrors. And the way he described a map as someone who has something that he wants, so they have already charted the course. So that's one way to decide on, choosing a professional to help you on that wealth journey, right? And then the mirrors are people who can look at you in a 360 way and say, oops, perhaps you need guidance in this area, and I know the person. So it's really important to have both maps and mirrors in your life, because those people will lead you to where you want to go depending on the question you want to ask. So that's my 2 cents on that question, and how I really looked at it and had my own moment of, but wait, Ruby's here, she's going to talk like a financial planner. Well, I don't have to talk like a financial planner because I'm not a financial planner, but I'm definitely somebody who facilitates people getting the right answers for the right question, right? I'm definitely somebody who is interested in helping you figure out the issue you might be having and show you the way with a map or maybe a mirror. So.
Oh, yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Oh, that's because I was muted. Because there was some noise in the background at my house and I muted myself. So I said, I'll go next because there's no way you're going to put me last. So I'll just go next. Because I was really thinking on the line of you need to really make sure that it's someone that lines up with your values and that's going the same, they're going the direction you want to be going. But I'm just going to mimic Andrea and say maps and mirrors. That's it.
It was a
Maps
mic
and
drop.
mirrors. That's literally every time you say that, I'm like, that literally sums up everything in life. Who do you want to hang out with? Somebody that knows how to get where you're going and somebody that can show you that you can look at yourself and go, oh, there's a little blemish there. I need to fix that. Or, oh, my hair's out of place right there. I need to fix that. And that's the answer. So I just didn't want to go last because I already realized that Andrea kind of summed it up. So, all right, continue on.
I don't want to go last either. Can I go next?
No, the wealth advocate gets to
Nobody
go last.
wants to go after you,
The money
Ruby.
part and all
Everybody
that. That's why I'm going first. I'm the health girl. So go on, Val.
Oh, those are great input, ladies. When I'm thinking about a professional, obviously I want to know that they got credentials, like they know what they're talking about. But the other side of it is, I want to be able to understand them, because I was thinking about a lawyer, even an accountant too. When I went to see them, we didn't understand what they said. Like they were going on all of their jargon, and we just didn't know what they were saying. So to have someone that I understand what they're talking about, that's really what I'm looking for. They have the credentials. I can check that out. I can ask people, but can we communicate? That's really important.
Yeah. Ruby?
I was going to agree with Val. Values is key, right? And how you communicate. Because, some people are very analytical. They just want the facts. Other people need more time. I need you to explain these terms. I need you to take the time. And you're working with somebody that maybe they have the credentials, but their communication style is just very rushed. They're just all that's just going to go over your head. So it's important to have that, interaction that you understand. And then, of course, credentials are key because you want to make sure that you're working with someone that is qualified to give you the guidance and information that you're looking for. And also understanding like their resources and capacity, right? I would use the example of your primary care provider, right? They know your full assessment of your fiscal state. But in some cases, who else is on their team? Maybe they need to bring in a specialist about a specific area. So understanding the resources and the capacity of who that individual is with can also give you some depth, knowing that I'm in a good place, because if I have additional needs that they can address or refer me to someone that can help in that area. And then lastly, you don't want to leave out is, okay, well, can I afford this professional? Understand their compensation structure, right? What good is all of that if you can't even afford to work with them? So I would just say like looking for those three things and getting understanding around that is key.
Yeah, I agree with like all of that. We definitely need the maps and the mirrors. We definitely need to be able to understand what the heck they're talking about when they're talking about it, and understanding their credentials and all of those things. But the other thing is, a lot of the times when people are in certain positions, I want to know that they're walking the walk that they're talking about, right? Are you living by this advice that you're giving me, or is this what you're giving me to do, but you're not living that way? And the funny thing came up is when I was talking to a particular financial advisor, and they were talking about these certain vehicles, right? For savings, for college, and this, that, or the other. And I asked the question, well, does your kid have that savings plan? And they're like, oh, well, no, my kid doesn't. We have a different plan for my kids. I want to know what you're doing in your life that is helping you, because just because this is a vehicle, or this is just because this is a product that you're used to selling based on what you think I want to do, is not necessarily how I want to go. Obviously, I'm talking to someone because I want to do better than what I already know and what I could already pick up. So I want, when I'm personally looking for someone to extend out into my wealth strategy and a professional, I want to know are they walking the talk that they're telling me to do, and is it being successful in their own lives as well? But then also, are they just going to give me the same advice that they give everyone else? I really want them to be able to have a bespoke. I live for a bespoke experience. This is why I'm not an iPhone person, because I want to be able to move things around to fit me just so that I can live my life exactly designed the way that I want to, and that does not stop in that wealth factor. I want it to make sense for me. And so asking the professionals, one, what do they do? And they actually use that same product in their lives, is something that a lot of the times we don't ask when we're talking to a professional about these products that they're selling us. But then the other thing is, now, can we be creative so it fits me exactly, instead of it being the cookie cutter, run of the mill, same stuff that you actually push to everybody that you talk to. So those are the things that I would say are important to ask when we're having this conversation with these people, because it's your money, it's your life, your time, your wealth, and you should be able to own your own life, and then including your own wealth. So we are, this conversation is awesome for me, because a lot of the times we don't sit around and talk about money. Right? We don't talk about the money side of it. We don't talk about the actual, like, well, what are you doing, or what do we do to actually get more wealth? We talk about, like, I need more clients. We talk about I need a marketing strategy. We talk about, like, how to use this app. But, like, as entrepreneurs, we don't sit around and talk about the actual wealth side of it and the journey that goes around that. So I love that we're starting this conversation, and that we are giving people advice and tips on how to actually get there for themselves. The thing that I really want to be able to help people understand is, not only do you want to keep networking, but it's really important for you to actually kind of gain some knowledge behind these things. And so, although we are not all experts in wealth, we do all have some ways that we have kind of helped ourselves through this process of becoming entrepreneurs, and kind of tapping into our own wealth, that I would love for us to share. If each of us can give one tip for staying wealthy as an entrepreneur, and let's go ahead and kick it off with, let's see, Val hasn't started us off. So Val, why don't you start us off with, what's one tip for staying wealthy as an entrepreneur?
Oh gosh, my tip kind of has more than one thing in it, so I hope you don't mind. I'm always starting with strategy. I mean, what's your direction? Where are you going? Watching for the leaks, staying focused. Those are all really important things. But I think the one thing that I'd like to leave is trust yourself. As an entrepreneur, we really do know what the right thing is to do. We just need to trust ourselves and go in that direction, and not dismiss. It's easy to dismiss some of the things we hear. Really, should I really do that? But trust yourself and just watch for the leaks. I think that's my big tip for today.
Awesome. Peggy?
I'm not sure if our wealth expert will agree with me, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. I really believe that when you make decisions based on your big picture, where you're going in life and what really brings you happiness, instead of making decisions only based on what's going to make me more money, that's where you're going to find your wealth. I'm not saying ignore financial decisions. I'm saying live your life to the fullest, and don't live your life to make money. Live your life to live a wealthy life in all areas.
Okay, well, since you put it out there, let's give her an opportunity to agree or disagree.
I agree with you, Peggy. And actually, our conversations start They're driven there by your goals, the things that you want to accomplish, your family dynamics, because they're your why. Otherwise, if it's just a financial conversation, then we're just talking numbers. And if numbers have no meaning, then what's the point, right? So it's important to have your why drive, you know, those financial goals. So my tip, I'm going to go back to what I used earlier, deposits, right? Being mindful of what we're depositing into our minds. And, those can be prayer, they can be affirmations, but just keeping those things positive. And then I'm starting my journey here with the physical side of that, is being mindful of what we're depositing into our bodies, right? Are we getting enough rest? Are we eating healthy? And then I just, use that analogy to compare to some people really mindful of, like, what do they put in their deposits, like financial deposits? What are they putting in their bank? What are they investing? So just as you would be cognizant of that, be mindful of where and what type of deposits as well that you are putting in those various vehicles.
Love it. Love it. Andrea, she just queued you up, it sounds like. So
And she said what I was going to say. So I'm kind of like, so I was like, okay, she's taking some of what I was going to say. So what can I add? I'd like to add that, yep, the deposits, which I was going to run through. Those deposits, I love those deposits. That it is really important as an entrepreneur is your self-care. And Ruby alluded to it. She made it very 1, 2, 3, a nice punch list. And she added like the great things that you need to put on that punch list. But as an entrepreneur, if your mind is unsettled, so I'm going to add, she mentioned prayer. I'm going to say prayer and meditation so that you can hear your why, so that you can chart your goals, like Val said. It's very easy as an entrepreneur to be scattered, and the things that are necessary to be centered and whole are sometimes the stillness of that self-care moment or time, like Val says, to start the day right. I don't start a day my feet don't leave the bed without me having done a morning meditation, sort of to like ramp into the day. And so I would really encourage, and that looks different for everybody, but really carving out those times to either brain dump. I do meditation twice a day so I can get the thoughts out so that I can stay maybe in my purpose for the day, or because I have certain metrics you have to make. So really making sure that you give your mind that rest. You can give your heart, your mind, the rest and the space to expand and to lead you through your why and your goals is my wealthy entrepreneur tip.
and my tip is going to be ask stupid questions. You know, the ones that you keep saying, oh my gosh, I'm not going to ask that. They're going to think I'm stupid. Or I should know this. I should know this already. Asking stupid questions is actually beneficial in all the ways. And Peggy will tell you, she asks stupid questions to everybody in the universe, to the person in the grocery store, just out loud, right? Asking stupid questions gives you the opportunity. First of all, it releases your brain from having to hold that space for that question, right? So the minute you let it leave your lips, you then release it from your brain space, and it doesn't become that nagging thought, I should figure out, I should figure out, I should figure out, but it becomes a curiosity that your brain's allowed to follow into the universe. And then the answers seem to appear everywhere. Like when you decided you wanted to buy that blue car, and then you saw blue cars everywhere. After that, it's that same thing, right? So asking stupid questions and allowing stupid questions to come out can give you the most profound opening in your brain, and it allows your brain to then go and seek out the answers or the people who can give you the answers to the questions that you were saying. Are you about to hop back in? Is that what's happening there?
Well, I don't want to interrupt you. However, I don't think any question is stupid. So I'm going to quibble with your stupid question remark and say, I didn't think about curiosity in this conversation, but that's my other number one thing. I'm always like, be curious, ask a question. You never know who's going to know. Like, so I'm glad you remembered to put it out there because it's so true. I just want everyone to distort and delete the stupid part because you know what? Just ask the damn question. Sorry.
Well, the reason why I say stupid is because we ask questions, but we want to be intelligent about how we ask questions. There's the ego. I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to ask it in a very articulated way so that I can make sure that people know that I am not dumb, but I am curious and blah, 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 right? And I'm like, no, ask the question. Yeah, they can this diversified portfolio crap. What does that mean exactly? Right? Like just ask the stupid question, not the really pretty wrapped up bow tied, like I'm a super brain. I'm just curious. No, ask the, like, what, I have no idea when they talk about this particular thing, what that mean exactly. And be okay to just be that person. And the reason why is because your curiosity has an abundance that comes along with it, right? And all of the things that I've ever created came out of me asking a question and then following that stupid question down all of the rabbit holes that it took in order for me to find the answer in order to be successful. So asking, I know the stupid feels bad, but it's intentional to make there's no such thing as a stupid question. So just ask the stupid question.
I'm happy now that you've let everyone know it's like no question is too small or too or unimportant. Like you're so right, because that's where a lot of creativity comes from. I had a real estate mentor once say, I love when she said this. We're sitting in a little seminar. She's like, dumb gets paid, and I was like, how dare a woman talk about dumb gets paid? And then she explained herself. I was like, I'm never gonna. And this was 15 years ago. Asking, like you said, I don't know how that works. Even if you think sometimes just asking someone that I don't know how that works to hear how they think it works, because it's so important to get that feedback, right? And so dumb gets paid to ask a stupid question.
Yeah, no, I don't know how many times someone has said something to me and they're like, you know what I mean? And I think they were expecting the, like, yeah, I get it. And I was like, nope, I don't. I do not. I don't know what you mean. And then they're like, oh, well, this and that. And then that was the jewel. That was the gem that I needed in order to, one, understand the concept, and two, to take that concept and be dangerous, right? Like be absolutely dangerous. And so just being honest when you don't know something and asking those stupid questions, and then like not being like, oh yeah, like, oh no, I'm smart, I got that. Like let that go. Like let that go completely. And there you'll find a wealth of knowledge and some really cool paths to walk down. This has been such an amazing conversation, and it is almost time for us to go. But before we go, it's my favorite part. It's announcements. So let's share what is happening in each of your world, and we'll start with our guest co-host first. So how can we connect with you, and what is happening in your world that you want people to connect with you on? So Ruby, go first.
Sure. Well, October, most people know as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It also is Financial Planning Month. Very common time of year where a lot of people review what they've done, their budgets for the upcoming year. So I have been encouraging people to just, if it's not a habit, create a new annual, tradition of reviewing your financial plan or getting something in place. We do complimentary consultations. So just be encouraged to reach out. And then just about some of the things that we talked about today, I talked about starting my journey to wealth and incorporating the spiritual and the physical side of it. And so I've recently just launched Wealth Empowerment Advocate via Instagram, to have a voice to speak about the other areas of wealth that's not tied to the financial component, but is a part of that. And so I'll just be, sending out communications there. So if anyone wants to follow me or just interact or just share some of those things, you're more than welcome to connect with me there.
Awesome. Val, what's going on with you?
Well, as Ruby mentioned, people are starting to think about this is the end of the year, and I'm thinking about next year. I get so excited this time of year. I have a creative planner that I use, and some of my clients use as well. And so it's time to create that planner and get the new year rolling. So I've got a program called Magnify Your Brand. So let's get your brand clarified. and your message clarified, and add that marketing fuel. So I've got this program coming up so that you're ready for the new year. And people can get mostly, you know what? I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So go there, check me out, and I'd love to connect.
Awesome. Peggy, what's going on with you?
I have a brand new, beautiful website up. It is headshotsbypeggy.com or headshotstrategist.com. They'll take you to the same place. As you all know, I am a headshot photographer, but I'm also a headshot strategist. So even if you don't live in the local LA area, I can help you figure out what you need to use your headshot, which is your profile picture, your first impression, as one of the biggest parts of your marketing strategy. So check me out, schedule a free consultation, and let's see if I can help you get your first impression up to par.
Oh, yeah. And Andrea, what's going on?
Oh, so many fun things are going on. Like Val, I love this time of the year. And just like Ruby said, it's October. So let's talk about next year. And everyone's like, what? Especially from a health person. They're like, why are you doing that? The holidays are coming. I'm like, exactly. You need a strategy to go into 2022 at the same weight, not gaining weight through the holidays. And so, of course, as a health person, people come to me all the time like, I'm gaining weight. Well, I'm all about the wellness, a 360-degree view. So I'm really inviting people to come into my new Facebook group. Monica, I'm going to put it in the chat so you can put it in the, I don't know how you do that from your mission control, but join my group, sort of like Ruby. It's where I share my ideas and sort of tips and strategies about how to live a well life. And of course, if you have weight loss questions, I'll answer them. But I'm really going to make it about your 360-degree view of your wellness. And so I'm at Wellbeing and Worth on Facebook and Instagram. So check me out. You can find me there and ways to reach me. And I'm gearing up to get my classes and programs filled for the beginning of the year. And of course, for the fearless ones who want to go through the holidays with me, because I'm gearing up. I'm doing a little level up challenge myself. So if that sounds like something you'd like to know more about, come find me in my group and say, I want to level up, and I'll get you started, because we're starting in the next 2 weeks. Week 1, there's 2 start dates, so it's not too late to get on board and, make these holidays not the bane of your existence, but the boom for next year. So.
Oh, yeah. All right. And here at Mink Life Motivation, we have like 1,001 announcements. But the primary focus right now is conference season. Yes, it is. So, we have a community that supports these conferences. We have courses that you can dive into after the conferences. But right now, I want to focus on the next global virtual conferences, because I just had an amazing meeting with a bunch of them, and we're getting ready to let you know what is happening next. It's time to level up. Yes, not just in your health with Andrea, but in your life, your business, your branding, and your networking. And that is through our 4 next global virtual conferences. That's Los Angeles. It's the October 23rd, 24th. Yes, 2 weeks away. And we also have the Sydney and the Johannesburg and the London. We are still looking for speakers for Johannesburg, London, and for Australia. So if you are interested in doing that, or you are interested in getting passes, the passes are on sale now. And I can't wait to have you all be a part of that experience with us for sure. I am so happy to have all of you on the show with me today. And this is, like y'all know, one of my favorite slides. And that is the slide that says, we have made it. So to thank everyone, my co-host, Andrea and Peggy and Val, and of course, Ruby for hopping in last minute for us. I am so excited. Remember that you have the power to activate the vision within. That is our show for the day. We will miss you for a couple of days, but we will see you next Wednesday. So be right here, same channel, same station, all of these links and all the places that we've been. Don't forget, if you are watching this as a replay, let us know what you think. Share, because sharing is caring. We hope you have a fantastic, wealthy week, and we will see you next week. Bye.